Now at 8 o'clock, a serial pee dumper on the loose in Northeast Portland.
I asked her if she got pee bottled.
Pee dumper, pee bottled. If it's not clear, we're talking about someone dumping bottles of urine on people's property. The full story here coming up.
Plus broken windows and Molotov cocktails.
Just a bunch of PTSD in a place that I call home.
But the real damage may be the disturbing message an alleged vandal tried to send a Portland business.
Also this hour, Multnomah County parents fighting back against a proposal that could end the county's Preschool for All program.
That's what a lot of parents in my community face every day. Do I pay my rent or do I pay for childcare?
We'll let you know what we found out as sources say this proposal will not move forward at this point. The 8 o'clock hour of Sunrise starts right now.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us live at 8 o'clock. I'm China Green.
And I'm Drew Carney. Rod Hill also here with us at 8 o'clock talking about your forecast on a Thursday.
Yeah, good morning. A cloudy start today, very similar to yesterday, but there are some changes. One of those changes is that even at the coast, so far it's being reported as mostly dry. Now, at least through the noon hour, you folks will have the ongoing threat that you could start to get some patchy light moisture. This is Schnookwan's Casino Resort in Lincoln City. Here's downtown Portland. I mean, the clouds right now are staying high, and if that's the case, we will not get any precip out of them. We might just stay completely dry today. We're at 60 in Portland. We will stay comfortable. We'll be 63 at noon, not much change. And later today, like yesterday, the clouds probably thin somewhat, and if they do, we'll pop up to about 70 for a nice, pleasant day. That's your forecast.
All right, thank you, Rod. Quick look at traffic this morning. The traffic map showing lots of orange, some red in the area, yellow as well. So we're going to keep an eye on roadways around the area. A fuller, more deeper traffic report coming your way in just a few minutes.
We have breaking news out of Washington, D.C. this morning. The Supreme Court has sided with South Carolina in its effort to cut off Medicaid funding to Planned Parenthood. The 6-3 ruling means that states can block Planned Parenthood from receiving Medicaid funds, even for non-abortion services. It also means patients can sue to enforce their right to choose a medical provider under the Medicaid Act. Federal funding for abortions is already banned, but conservatives continue to oppose funding for Planned Parenthood, arguing that even the support for non-abortion services may indirectly support the organization's broader reproductive rights work. That's according to NBC.
All right, back to our top local story here this hour. Residents in Northeast Portland say they are frustrated, to say the least, because someone's been dumping bottles filled with urine in their trash bins since September.
So police say it's a crime, while City Waste Disposal says they won't even touch it. KGW's Catherine Cook spoke with neighbors left to deal with the gross situation.
They look like a gallon size.
6 giant bottles, once filled with water.
I don't know what's there now.
Likely filled with urine. Neighbors around Northeast 70th and Beach
I asked her if she got pee bottled.
have been seeing this a lot lately.
It seems problematic because no one wants to deal with a bunch of someone else's pee.
Somebody else said, take it into the house and put it down the drain. I'm not touching that.
Jean found this stash Tuesday morning, recycling day. Someone had set the containers among items in her blue bins on this gravel median. And while some might argue urine can be recycled into water, that's not how it works here.
And I said, what do I do with it? And nobody could tell me.
We reached out to Metro. A spokesperson told us their hazardous waste facilities don't accept human waste. However, they said their RID patrol will often clean up messes left in public right-of-ways like this one. Jean filed a request, and Metro told us in this case they will respond. Jean's lucky.
Whoever's doing it seems to like Crystal Geyser.
In other cases, the urine bottles have landed on private property. Metro tells us RID Patrol can't respond to those situations, and there have been several.
This is a bigger thing. This is not just random, and it's happening all over.
Jean's neighbor, Bruce Porter, is tired of it. He wants whoever's leaving the bottles of pee to get help if they need it.
You can't carry 6 2-gallon jugs of waste without having a purpose to it.
Whatever the reason, Jean just wants this gone.
I don't want to touch it. But more importantly, I don't want the guy to come back next week and do the same thing.
Catherine Cook, KGW News.
All right, so a couple of notes here to Catherine's report. If this happens to you and the RID crew can't respond, Metro suggests that you check with your local trash and waste pickup company. Otherwise, they say you should wear a pair of gloves and dump the urine in a storm drain or in your toilet. Police, meanwhile, asking people to check their security cameras and report anything they find to be suspicious.
Portland police arrested a man accused of throwing Molotov cocktails at a home in southeast Portland and vandalizing a North Portland boba tea shop. 37-year-old Christian Clarita right there is facing nearly 30 charges ranging from bias crime to criminal mischief. Surveillance video from last week shows a suspect throwing objects through the door of Auntie Ha boba shop before returning the next day to damage a window. According to detectives, Clarita is also accused of breaking windows last month at an apartment in southeast Portland.
To throwing a firebomb at the entryway of the house and left another to show the victim, who he called Chinese people, quote unquote, that he wants to be left alone.
We are too scared to come back to because we are always worrying that he may really use his gun to shoot us.
Prosecutors have asked the judge to keep Clarita in custody while his case plays out. He is scheduled to be back in court next week.
We have an update to a story we covered live yesterday here on Sunrise. 2 armed carjacking suspects are still on the loose after police pulled the plug on their hours-long search in northeast Portland. The carjacking took place around 4 in the morning yesterday in the Hazelwood neighborhood near northeast 108th and Haslow. Investigators say the suspects only drove a few blocks to northeast 114th before they got out of the car and then ran off. Police had to issue a shelter in place for the neighborhood, and that lasted for hours.
Our neighborhood has changed a lot. My kids used to run in the streets and play outside all the time, but now they've grown up, but I wouldn't want them to be out alone.
Anyone that has information about either the carjacking or the suspects should contact Portland Police.
With just 4 days left in the Oregon legislative session, lawmakers have made significant amendments to monster transportation funding bill. The gas tax will still increase, but only once, and it won't be indexed to inflation. Changes also eliminate the vehicle transfer tax and reduce the size of some DMV fee hikes. The payroll transit tax hike remains unchanged, and so does a choice for EV drivers to pay per mile. A public hearing and work session is scheduled for today. Meantime, the Metro Council President Lynn Peterson less than optimistic about the state of Portland. Peterson's comments at a City Club event reflect the homeless crisis and a large budget deficits at the city and county levels.
So what's the state of our region? If I'm being diplomatic, I could call it non-ideal. If I'm being frank, it is in critical condition. Since the last state of the region, we have had a drumbeat of stories about an economic doom loop. We have seen the number of unsheltered homeless rise despite tireless efforts from our counties and cities.
Yesterday marks come a day after Portland's regional government indicated it won't put an extension of the homeless services tax on this year's ballots. If the tax isn't extended, it will end in 2030. Right now, high-income earners across Tri-County area pay this tax.
Multnomah County's Health Department and the OHSU PSU School of Public Health are officially joining forces. So this is being called a first-of-its-kind academic partnership. The school is located in the Vanport building on the Portland State campus, but public health efforts will often take place outside the classroom in the community.
It's that meshing together of what we research and what we teach and what we do in practice, and that's a huge gain for our students and our faculty.
This collaboration is really a win-win for everyone. It has mutual benefits in teaching, in research, in preparing students for the real-life challenges that they're going to face.
Leaders from both sides of the partnership say some collaboration is already happening. All right, we're talking music here on the Sunrise Show this morning. A reminder that tickets are on sale now for the PDX Live Music Festival that's coming back to Pioneer Courthouse Square this August. So we're taking this live look at the square in downtown Portland this morning. Keep in mind, come August, those bricks will be covered with music fans because the lineup is pretty awesome. Once again this year, The Roots. From The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon to the bricks at Pioneer Courthouse Square, The Roots are performing at this festival. You can check out more information, the full lineup, tickets, all that good stuff at pdx-live.com. Rod Hill, earlier this morning, I gave you the opportunity to invite any musician in the history of music to the festival, past or present. And Rod went with Doc Severson, the old trumpeter from The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson.
A true story. When I played trombone, I was in the bands at the University of Missouri back in the 80s. And Doc came and he gave us a jazz workshop, if you will. He was such a musician's musician. He went around the room. He literally could pick up a woodwind instrument or brass instrument and just pick it up and start playing. He was amazing.
Meanwhile, all of our producers age 40 or younger are quickly Googling, who is Doc Severson?
Who is Doc Severson? Who is that man? Yeah. All right. We are cloudy up and down I-5. The farthest north camera I can show you is up in Kelso. This is Three Rivers Golf Course. There's somebody on the first tee, but that pavement is dry, which is really what I'm looking at, minus where it's wet because they've been watering up there. But so far, the cloud deck is held high enough that we're not getting patchy drizzle. Can't call off the chance of some light moisture yet. I think if we're still dry at 10 o'clock, then that chance will be over for the day. But right now, nothing's happening. We're just dry and cloudy with light winds and comfortable. 60 out of PDX, 59 in downtown. Battleground, good morning, 58 is your number. Usually when you have uniform cloudiness, you have uniform temps, and that's the case this morning. 56 in Sandy, 56 in Oregon City. Salem, 58, not much of a variance. Well, Silverton's a little bit cooler at 51. Here's the weather map for today. It is sunny over in central and eastern areas of our state. The Dow's getting some morning sunshine. You folks will keep it. When generally central and eastern areas about 80 today. Bend 81, LeGrand 80. Really comfortable late June day and beautiful. We have cloudiness that will be with us for the most part all day again up and down I-5 and again at the coast. And we're still watching the chance of getting some light precip. There's a better chance at the beach than the valley, but so far even the coast has been dry in many locations. So today, cloudy, cooler, 70. Tomorrow, 75. We start to get some sun in the afternoon, and then your weekend still looks sunny. It's been this way all week. 81 Saturday, 90 on Sunday, definitely the hotter of the two. 94 on Monday, but then after that, it looks like the temperatures gradually go back down on Tuesday, Wednesday, even into Thursday of next week, and that is your forecast.
Temperatures eventually going down there, Rod. Drive times also going down here on this Thursday morning. Yeah, traffic really slow right now, especially at that spot on I-5 at Columbia Boulevard. You can see the traffic moving in towards downtown Portland, going at a pretty slow clip. So are drivers that are traveling on I-5 South from Main Street to 405. The average miles per hour there at 26. Definitely smooth, though. Smooth sailing over on 205 South from Patton Parkway to I-84. Travelers moving more than 60 miles an hour still.
Still ahead here on KGW, the latest on the ceasefire between Israel and Iran as Iran's supreme leader speaks publicly for the first time since the fighting began. Then the new SpaceX Dragon capsule makes its space flight debut. We take a look at mission in your morning rush.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news, live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
Iran's supreme leader is claiming victory today over Israel in his first public comments since a ceasefire deal was declared between the two countries.
That ceasefire came after 12 days of fighting, including a U.S. military strike on Iranian nuclear facilities. NBC's Matt Bradley has the latest from Tel Aviv.
Yeah, we just heard from the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, and these were his first comments since that ceasefire, brokered in part by President Trump, was imposed on Israel and Iran. They both agreed to stop fighting. Now, the supreme leader came out and said that Iran was victorious over Israel. He congratulated the country for its resistance against Israel. He said that the U.S. only intervened because they were worried that the Zionist regime, as he called it, would collapse. He said that the U.S. gained nothing from its intervention, and he vowed that the resistance would continue. This is the first statement that we've heard from him since the ceasefire, but he had spoken over a recorded message during the actual tit-for-tat attacks between Iran and Israel. Now, this man was in the crosshairs at one point. Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu, several top officials here in Israel, spoke openly about assassinating this man. He does still seem to be in control of Iran, and we've seen a wave of repression from the Iranian state, arresting hundreds of people, executing 3 people during the course of the fighting between Iran and Israel. It looks like as the dust settles in Iran, the regime is trying their best to show that they're still in control. Matt Bradley, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
Let's take a look at some other world and national headlines here with your morning rush. A federal judge in Colorado ruled that prosecutors can proceed with a hate crime charge against the man accused of hurling Molotov cocktails at demonstrators in Boulder. 15 people were hurt during a June 1st rally in support of Israeli hostages. Investigators say the man on your screen, Mohammed Solomon, planned the attack for a year and was driven by a desire to, quote, kill all Zionist people. Lawmakers in Washington, D.C., meanwhile, came together in a rare unanimous vote, creating a resolution that condemns the deadly shooting of a Minnesota lawmaker earlier this month. State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband died in the attack. The shooter also targeted Senator John Hoffman and his wife. The new U.S. House resolution calls for unity and a renewed commitment to peaceful democracy. Time is running out for you to cash in on a major Apple settlement involving Siri. The deadline to file a claim in the multi-million-dollar settlement is next Wednesday. Back in January, Apple agreed to resolve a lawsuit that alleged it secretly activated Siri to record conversations through its Apple products. Apple has not, by the way, acknowledged any wrongdoing, even though it has agreed to this settlement. A brand new SpaceX Dragon capsule flew its first mission this morning, docking at the International Space Station and dropping off 4 astronauts who are starting a 2-week research mission.
You make it sound so casual. I dropped off some astronauts.
They said, we got to go over there. And they said, fine, we'll drop you right there. And off they were.
All right, boys, let's get something cute. These little otters. They're aware of the temperatures that are headed our way this weekend in the 90s. So right now they're just taking advantage of an ice bath or a lunch or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, but these pair of rescued river otters dove right in. They're at the Oregon Zoo. Otter chaos, you could call it. Otter chaos.
Yeah.
I just want to hold it in.
That wasn't bad, actually. I'll give you credit for that one. Otter chaos.
That wasn't me. That wasn't me.
Yeah, I think that's Eileen Morissette at work.
I'll give Eileen credit. You delivered it nicely, though.
Thank you.
I think we mentioned 19 hours ago at the early stages of this morning show that you are a huge otter fan. We don't have to get all of the details, but I've never met someone who appreciates the otter more than China Green.
I would cry if I was able to hold one or see one.
Oh my.
Yeah.
She's going to cry, Rod.
Look, an otter.
Surely we can get an otter in the studio, Drew. I think the gauntlet, the challenge has been thrown down for us, my friend.
Otter.com.
Another comfortable day. I hope you enjoyed yesterday. You know, these are kind of treat days, I think, this time of the year. It was only 70 in Portland. If you have to get some work done outside, another comfortable day to do so. A touch humid, but hey, it's only going to be 70 again. Satellite. These aren't really weather systems coming that are going to give any precipitation for us locally. Now, for this band of clouds you see right there, the bright little ball, models are picking up that near to north of Seattle, there will be some incoming rain from that as we go through the afternoon, but nothing here in Oregon. This is a west to east flow pattern, and it's helping to flush our entire state with comfortable weather. We have sunshine when you get over the Cascades and away from the morning low cloudiness that we currently have once again. Here's the Oregon Veterans Home camera out in the Dalles. Pretty look down at the dam in the early morning sun. Winds have been fairly light. Typical afternoon westerlies expected for you again. 10, 20, 25 mile per hour gust. 67 is your number. Really nice. Here's the Reserve Vineyards Golf Club out in Loa doing some work on one of the greens, it looks like. The clouds are still holding high. By this time yesterday, this camera was showing raindrops in that pond you see to the right, and we had patchy mist or drizzle around the area. So far, not seeing any of that this morning. And remember, I had told you that I thought this morning would be wetter than yesterday morning. Well, so far, yesterday morning we had a little bit. I traced out at the airport, and this morning we've had zero, none. And the clouds, you can see here, this is Providence Park, the camera looking out over the West Hills. This was foggy over the West Hills yesterday at this time, not today. So we'll know in another hour or so if the clouds are going to eventually lower and give us some patchy drizzle. An hour goes by and they haven't, they're not, and then we'll just stay dry today. 59 is your number in Portland. 57 up in Astoria. Earlier this morning there was a touch of some moisture recorded. 58 down in Salem. Good morning to you. Cloudy but dry weather as well. No weather-related issues across the Northwest. Noon today shows the sun cascades eastward, shows the clouds on the west side. Here's that incoming rain near to north of Seattle this afternoon. If you are going to be driving up that way yet today, rain jacket. But here in Oregon, we'll primarily stay dry, and the cloudiness will probably thin just enough like it did yesterday afternoon to get us back up to about 70. We likely will start off with clouds again tomorrow morning, but I think tomorrow eventually partial clearing, and then we have that sunny weekend still tracking for us. 73 in Salem today. Could just stay dry. We'll find out in another hour or so, as I mentioned. Same thing for Southwest Washington. Temperatures nearing 70 degrees. Portland 7 days, 70 today, 75 tomorrow with some afternoon sun, and then the bright sunshine comes. 81 Saturday, 90 on Sunday. It's going to be getting hot. 94 on Monday, but I think that's it. And then we start to slide back down into the 80s, and that is your forecast. China, I know you love doing traffic. You love it.
My favorite thing ever. Okay, this is a live look at I-5 Briar Place. It's definitely slowing down right there, but that's usually kind of what it looks like at 8:20 in the morning for your morning commute. And let's take a look at your drive times. I-5 South, Main Street to I-405. 21 minutes there, and then pretty good on I-205, Patton Parkway to I-84, going to take you 11 minutes. Next on Sunrise, the tradition in one Minnesota small town helping high school graduates go to college.
KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news, live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus.
Now to a story about a small town in Minnesota that has big dreams for their high school seniors. Their community has a decades-long tradition giving scholarships to every graduating student in town. Boyd Hubert from our sister station Minnesota has more in his series, Land of 10,000 Stories.
Lily Peterson, the University of Mary.
Zach Kopinski, Minnesota State University, Mankato.
Every high school senior you're meeting,
Trevor Hansen, Central Lakes College, Staples,
is about to receive a scholarship to help pay for these schools.
Hunter Moore, SMSU.
A gift from Swanville, their hometown.
A lot of adventures together.
Former principal Chris Dunshee and former gas station owner Royal Loven brainstormed the idea in 1987.
We'll put a big billboard outside of town on the highway and says, "Come to Swanville School. We give every student that graduates a scholarship."
The billboard didn't happen, but Swanville got to work on the scholarships slowly. Average scholarship that first year, $166. Chili cook-offs, calendars, cheese curds, poinsettias, waffles, bingo, and pull tabs. Swanville has sold everything but its historic water tower to raise money for scholarships. This year's average, $5,142.
To me, it's just this community saying, like, go be great. Go do something cool and make a difference in the world.
Zach Kopinski, grand total of $5,000.
Wherever you go, know that Swanville is always home.
Swanville's class of 2025 can chalk it up
Thank you.
to growing up
Thank you.
in the town that dreamed for them. Boyd Hupert for NBC News, Swanville, Minnesota.
And we have our own series called Pacific Storyland that highlights unique and heartwarming stories across the Pacific Northwest. So if you have an idea, email our team. We would love to hear from you. You can text us as well, 503-226-5088, and the email is pacificstoryland@kgw.com. Coming up in our next half hour, what we know about not one but two scams making their way across Washington. Then the latest on the heat dome scorching much of the eastern United States. Sunrise 8 o'clock hour continues after this.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news, live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
Issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yes.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW Plus.
Good morning, I'm China Green. The Oregon State Marine Board and law enforcement across the state are reminding people not to boat under the influence during the 4th of July holiday. This is a reminder that July 4th through the 6th that they will be out looking for impaired drivers to try to reduce the number of accidents related to boating under the influence, alcohol, marijuana, and other substances. The consequences of a BUII, just so you know, possible jail time, fine of more than $6,000, and the loss of boating privileges. Headed over to Rod Hill for a look at weather.
All right, good morning. A little cool again today for this time of the year. Like yesterday, we're expecting the cloudiness to, for the most part, be with us throughout the day and highs to only get up to about 70. Out the door, we are completely dry. So far, no reports of any misty or drizzly weather out there this morning. We're at 60 degrees. Weather map holds the chance this morning for some light precip, mainly at the coast, but even there, it's been primarily dry. We have temperatures that are in the 80s out in central and eastern areas this afternoon with sunny skies. So Portland's day planner on a Thursday morning, 63 at noon and about 70 for a high.
Hey, check this out.
Is that a hot dog?
That's a hot dog.
It's a hot dog.
And it's going to start how you would expect it to. An Ohio man is making waves on Lake Erie in a 15-foot hot dog boat. Connor Sonnenberg found out about a giant hot dog boat sitting on a storage off of Lake Erie, so obviously he bought it.
Yeah.
It's a water weenie. Originally.
Say that again.
Oh, water weenie. Originally built in 1975. So he got to work on the dog, the bun, and all the parts that make it run, documenting his progress on TikTok and Instagram, garnering over 21 million views. So
Never thought I'd see the day.
Water weenie and a hot dog boat are two things I did not think I would say
professionally
when I went to journalism school, but here we are.
A wet weenie does not sound appetizing, but man, that hot dog looked actually kind of delicious. If it wasn't being used for boat purposes, I think I would eat it, Rod.
Becomes instantly my favorite story of the day, by the way. I love that. That was up on Lake Erie. Everybody, passerbyers, take a note, I am sure. All right, Snookwiz Casino Resort camera. All of a sudden, gonna take a moment. Nope, not seeing one out to sea. All right, a lot of people out walking around. You know, it is not misty even at the coast for the most part. Maybe you're watching us from some spot and you're noticing a little bit, but most of the beaches have stayed dry so far this morning. We know the valley has absolutely stayed dry because visually we have enough cameras to see that the clouds have remained high enough that we're not getting any misty weather from them. We're at 60. So the forecast had called for a really good shot of some misty weather this morning. It's 8:30. If we don't have any light precip by 10 o'clock this morning, I would say we're not going to have any. We're 63 at noon, dry, overcast, and then the clouds will thin a little bit later today, and we'll get up to about 70 degrees. If you're going to be at the coast, so far only Astoria has said we have measurable light mist in the air, and that was actually a handful of hours ago. If you're traveling through the gorge, again, you'll look for some sunshine about Hood River way and then off to the east. This shows the Dow 75 at 5 o'clock. Beautiful day in Central Oregon if you plan to be that way. And also beautifully sunny and comfortable out east. Burns 81 degrees today, and that's it. So our 7-day, we're getting close to the weekend. Maybe we stay dry today. 70. We'll keep a lot of clouds throughout the day. 75 tomorrow with some partial afternoon clearing. Your weekend forecast still absolutely sunny. 81 Saturday, still pretty comfortable, but it does appear we could be knocking on 90's door on Sunday and then 94 on Monday in your forecast, and that is your update.
All right, quick look at traffic here this morning, Rod. Slow going. Perhaps these people were slowing down to listen to your forecast, Rod. Who knows? But definitely some slow going this morning there on I-84 at 37th. We'll take a look at some other drive times here as well. There we go. Nothing in red, so that's good news. Lots of yellow, including that ride right in the middle of your screen, I-84 west from Troutdale to I-5. It's a 27-minute drive at this hour. All right, top story here at 8:30, just days after Oregon lawmakers proposed an amendment to end the Preschool for All program in Multnomah County. Parents and other community members made sure that their voices were heard in support of the program.
Willamette Week is reporting that the chair of the Senate Finance Committee says the bill will not advance out of the committee. KGW is working to independently verify those comments, but here's John Adams with more.
Parents and advocates for Preschool for All in Multnomah County are pushing back less than 48 hours after a late-night amendment in Salem was proposed to end the program.
The program's been so transformational for my family that I wanted to come out here and make sure my voice was heard advocating for it.
The program, approved by voters in 2020, aims to cover the cost of preschool for many families who are under a certain income threshold and may struggle with paying for their child's care.
That's what a lot of parents in my community face every day. Do I pay my rent or do I pay for childcare?
But criticism from lawmakers outside the county has picked up steam in recent weeks. Oregon Governor Tina Kotek sent a letter to Multnomah County Chair Jessica Vega Peterson 2 weeks ago questioning the program, which is paid for by a 1% personal income tax to those who make above $125,000 or couples who make above $200,000. County Commissioner Megan Moyer was blindsided by that letter and claimed statements in the letter were false and misleading.
One, the unbelievable inaccuracies of the governor's letter, but also just very flawed economic analysis.
Both Moyer and Vega Peterson addressed the state Senate Committee on Finance on Tuesday, advocating for the program to be kept in place.
But the answer, I'm sorry, is not tax cuts to the ultra wealthy at the expense of economic programs we know drive growth.
With parents of children in the program concerned of what may happen if Preschool for All disappears.
I don't think this is how you want to treat some of the more vulnerable parts of our society. Like, we can do better, and we need to do better.
John Adams, KGW News.
All right, pretty unique situation in this next story where Portland City Council is reversing course, literally changing a vote after it received pushback over this controversial vote that threatened funding for programs that provide everything from meals to abuse prevention for underserved kids. The Portland Children's Levy Committee had recommended $70 million worth of grants using money from an existing property tax. But city council members initially rejected the plan in a 7-5 vote, citing, quote, equity concerns. Then the Oregonian's editorial board slammed the move. They called it the council's, quote, most reckless decision yet. After hearing directly from the impacted nonprofits and the Levy Committee, all 7 members who voted no changed their votes to yes.
The recruiting arm of Oregon's foster care system is reporting the best success it's ever had when it comes to finding new foster parents for kids, and they say it's all thanks to AI. The agency places foster children using AI and data to match kids with potential foster parents in the same zip code based on who's most likely to provide a stable home. We heard from one foster parent who says she's glad recruiters got in touch, even though she didn't know that she was part of an AI formula.
I've got 2 kids. They go to school 5 minutes from you. Do you want to meet them? You know, and it's an overnight experience. You're like, I have a day to decide.
What we've seen is not just more families coming forward, but those strategic families, those families that really need to step forward to fit the need for particular children in particular communities.
The agency worked with Microsoft to develop the strategy. It's now expanded to Arkansas and Tennessee, and they're hoping to take it national.
To see a tree just flying down the hill like a javelin was pretty alarming.
Yeah, this is exactly what it looks like. Crazy video that shows a giant tree sliding down a hill near Seattle, and this has led to a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. So King County is seeking $7 million from homeowners in the Seattle area, accusing them of illegally cutting down more than 140 trees on protected public land to apparently improve their property views. This next piece of video comes from Issaquah's Grand Ridge Park. One of the homeowners who's named in this lawsuit says he believes that all the work done was legal and it was done for safety reasons. But neighbors that live at the bottom of that hill dispute, saying not only has it destroyed their environment, it also has put them at risk.
And it was just pretty scary because this is part of our regular little Julian loop that we, come and walk most days.
They thought there was a very low probability of anyone finding out, right? It's like no one goes up to that specific area of the park. It would have been really hard for someone to have known that this happened. And I think the only reason we did is that we had that wildlife cam there.
Experts say losing mature trees, like the ones involved in the story, can disrupt the entire ecosystem. Back here in Multnomah County, a new drop-in day center is set to open up next month in the same building as the county's North Portland Health Center, right there off North Lombard Street. The center's goal is to help roughly 5,000 homeless people. It's going to open up from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock, Monday through Friday, offering everything from food to case management. Multnomah County also announced it's making it easier to refer people to one of its temporary 24/7 sobering centers. So this change will apply to the Coordinated Care Pathway Center over on Northeast Sandy. Starting this week, outreach workers for 5 different community partners that deliver behavioral health services will now be able to refer people struggling with addiction to that specific center. Before this, only law enforcement was allowed to make those referrals. So the community partners involved here, all listed on the screen. They include Portland Street Response, Project Respond, and 4D Recovery.
Well, it must be scam season because for the third day in a row, we're warning about a scam happening in our area.
The Department of Licensing in Washington is calling attention to a scam that involves a text message that appears to be from the DMV, claiming people have unpaid traffic tickets. This is a look right here. We can show you what the text message looks like. Officials say there are a few clues that show it's a scam. Number one, the international area code. Number two, all the spelling mistakes. And there was also a fake website link. And the other big clue here that this is a scam, the state of Washington doesn't actually have a DMV.
Unlike other states, we referred ourselves as the Department of Licensing. We wouldn't be asking people, especially to make an urgent payment like this. And so if you want to check your license status, you can create a License Express account on our website.
It's not a DMV in Washington, it's a DOL.
Yep.
The Department of Licensing says there's been a surge in these calls from people asking about the message. They say if you get a text that looks like this, you can report it to the Federal Trade Commission.
And in Bellevue, Washington, police are warning about a new scam that swindled people out of thousands of dollars. And in one case, more than $1 million. The scammers are targeting people in their 20s and 30s, and they tell the victims that they're involved in serious crimes like fraud, identity theft, or even major criminal incidents happening worldwide. The scammers then ask for highly sensitive documents like social security numbers, passport copies, and tax forms to prove their innocence, along with large sums of money. So there is a kitten emergency in Southwest Washington. The Humane Society says that it just got an influx of 50 cats when they were already well above capacity.
Kitten emergency or kitten conundrum, or both?
Kitten conundrum.
There you go. So here's how they're going to handle the situation. Hopefully this will help. Tomorrow through Sunday, the shelter is waiving all its adoption fees for these kittens. For more details, here's KGW's Alma McCarty.
Inside the Humane Society for Southwest Washington Wednesday night,
good job, everybody.
Dozens of cats and kittens settle in.
Somewhere around 50 to 60 cats had been found in a RV in Battleground.
Animal Control rounded them up after their owner died and brought them to their temporary home in Vancouver.
We're relieved to see that overall they seem pretty healthy. It seems like we probably have a few upper respiratory infections, some little kitty colds here and there, and that's to be expected when you have so many cats who are living in close quarters with one another.
Sam Ellingson with the Humane Society explains as staff and volunteers care for these cats, the team hopes adoptions will free up some space.
There's never a great time for us to receive 50 to 60 cats in a single day, right? That's always going to be a challenge, and that challenge is further amplified by the effects of kitten season.
Operating at 185% capacity already, and now with an influx of animals, they'll be waiving adoption fees Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
325 cats who are currently in our care, 100 of those are available for adoption. Our team will prepare for probably double to triple the number of adoptions, I think.
And he says in about a week, give or take, many of these cats and kittens will be ready to find their forever homes.
There's no concern about being able to house them. The concern for us right now is moving enough cats through that we can house them in a way that we want to.
Alma McCarty, KGW News.
Still to come here on the Sunrise Show during our live coverage here at 8 o'clock. The humidity, the stickiness, the hot temperatures hitting many parts of the country right now. When will they see some relief? We'll talk about that, and Rod Hill will also talk about our weekend forecast. The sunrise rolls on.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
It's certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
Dangerously hot and humid conditions are choking parts of the country this week.
Heat alerts were in effect yesterday for about 150 million people. Temperatures soared past 95 degrees across much of the East Coast. They are cooling slightly today. Now, one of the best names in the NBC family is going to have more on this for us. Here's NBC's Shaq Brewster.
Hi there. Well, here in Chicago, temperatures are expected to soar into the 90s later today, and that's before you factor in that humidity, the stickiness that we're already feeling in the air. That feels like temperature could start to flirt with 100 degrees. Across the country, more than 70 million people waking up to some sort of heat advisory today, and that came after yesterday when we saw more than a dozen records from Connecticut to South Carolina set or exceeded based on this heat. And in other parts of the country, folks are cleaning up. In Florida, just look at some of this video. In Largo, Florida, you see debris from a suspected tornado that went through a trailer park flying through the air. There's that threat of severe weather for some today as others continue to deal with the heat. But the good news, relief is coming for many across the country when those temperatures are expected to get a little bit closer to the average temperatures that we're expecting over the course of the summer. Back to you.
So that from Chicago this morning. The good news is what was the main story the last, 4 days or so was the excessive heat warning that was from the mid-Atlantic up through New York State, up into New England, where like DC and Philadelphia and Boston and New York, their actual temperatures were upper 90s to 100, and they had heat indices about 110. That has broken. That's over. I think the forecast in Chicago today is 92, and that's what I would call summer, and I grew up in the Midwest, so that's summer. And remember, and it's a big deal when someone's reporting they're going under a heat advisory today. Yeah, that means it's hot. Not the concern that an excessive heat warning would be, and those excessive heat warnings for the East Coast are gone. So that is good news as we celebrate that. So this is afternoon temperatures today. New York has actually had some rain already. So that's why they're totally out of it. 76. DC is still being around 193. I mean, that's a significant cool down, but still hot, obviously. And there's Chicago 92. Yeah, heat advisory, okay. 89 Canada, this is all typical stuff. You've got cooler weather up in Minneapolis and 65 up in Fargo. And then you've got, well, temperatures getting up into the 100s, but pretty typical for Phoenix. And you can see we are certainly more comfortable, generally speaking, here on the west side. Thunderstorm threat today has been dancing around the Gulf of Mexico. I'm never going to stop saying the Gulf of Mexico. I've been saying it for years. And there's the thunderstorms around Florida. All right. Here's a look at our pattern. This first ball of clouds expected to bring some rain later today near to north of Seattle, if you're going to be up that way later today. But otherwise, this is nothing more than just cooler marine air coming in, keeping our temperatures more comfortable. We have sun over Timberline. We have 45 degrees as we look at the summit of Mount Hood. So far, it's been cloudy but not wet this morning. So my forecast of today being the day with the best chance to have some light moisture looks like it's going to turn out to be incorrect. The clouds are holding higher today, and that's why we're dry. 58 degrees in Salem. Clouds are above the West Hills. We are dry, 60 degrees in Portland. We've had some reports of rain, but that was, or light stuff, that was earlier this morning in Astoria, 57. Otherwise, it's been reported as dry along the coast. Newport's 45. We have sun in Bend, 64. We have sun in Baker City, 61. Futurecast does show the low cloud pattern, similar to yesterday, up and down the western part of Washington and much of western Oregon. This still shows, especially at the beach, maybe there's a little wave that produces some light moisture at some point as we go into midday. But otherwise, the clouds will thin somewhat for us. We'll get up to about 70. There's that threat of rain up around Seattle a little bit later today. So Portland, it's looking like we have a good chance to stay dry. 70 would match yesterday. Tomorrow, cloudy start, and then some sun, 75. The weekend still looks sunny. Saturday's comfortable at 81. But if you don't like the heat, Sunday afternoon, you'll want to plan around it. 90. 94 on Monday, and then we start to cool back down on Tuesday and Wednesday. It is birthday time. Ezra is our first birthday, 9 years old today. Happy birthday out there on the beach. Love it. Taylor's 30 today. It's a big birthday. Hope you have a great time. 30s are great, Taylor. You're going to love them, love them, love them. Here's Sarah, who's 44 today. Happy birthday to you. Well, I mean, from my point of view, the 40s were great too. Here's birthdays at KGW.com, and we will celebrate with you.
All right, the celebration continues with the traffic report. Cars getting through this morning, that's all. maybe not going fast, but they're getting by. This is I-5 at Briar Place. We have a few other drive times we can take a look at. There is a slow spot that is worth pointing out. That's the drive on I-5 South from Main Street to 405. Cars traveling less than 20 miles an hour at this point during that stretch. Much better news on 205 South from Patton Parkway to I-84. That is an 11-minute drive right now.
All right, whether you're into bike rides, Scandinavian crafts, food, tea parties, there's a local event for everyone this weekend. Christine Pinawanich brings us some of the top ones to check out with your weekend things to do.
I'm Christine Pinawanich. We are getting closer to the weekend, and there are plenty of things to do in the area. Here's a look at a few events you might want to check out. Several Pride events are happening this weekend. That includes Pride in the Park at Beaverton's City Park. That'll be Sunday from 11 until 5 with a parade kicking things off. Tigard's Pride Parade and Festival happens Saturday from 2 to 4:30 at Tigard High School. And there is another Sunday Parkways event too. This time it's the Cully neighborhood's turn in Northeast Portland. Streets will close to cars on Sunday to allow for biking, walking, and playing in the road. The closure lasts from 11 to 4. Also, it's time for the Midsummer Festival. The event is steeped in centuries-old Scandinavian traditions. There will be the Midsummer Pole, crafts, and of course, good food. The two-day festival starts Friday at 5 and continues Saturday from 10 until 5 at Nordic Northwest in Southwest Portland. OregonMidsummer.com has all the information. And for the tea lovers out there, you'll want to head to the World Forestry Center in Washington Park on Saturday. From 9:30 until 6, it's Tea Fest. There will be tastings, tea ceremonies, and workshops. You can go to teafestpdx.com if you'd like to learn more. And for additional weekend inspiration, you can check out the 8 Things to Do article up each week at kgw.com.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
It's certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
All right, we're going to show you something here that I tell you, you've never seen before. I know that because researchers are calling it a first-of-its-kind discovery. New Puget Sound drone video shows southern resident killer whales using kelp to clean each other up. Bathing by way of kelp. Scientists say they take the kelp from the seafloor, right? Then they find a partner, and then they roll it between their bodies. You need 2 killer whales to get the job done. And this is now called something. They have a name for this. They call it allokelping. The Center for Whale Research says allokelping appears to be a form of grooming that the whales do for skin hygiene.
So what's interesting here is they're not just finding an object in their environment and then picking it up and using it as a tool. They're finding these complete kelp stalks in their environment, which as they are would not be usable for this behavior, and then actively changing it and modifying that object until it is now useful.
So researchers have been studying marine mammals since the beginning of time, right? Or at least close to it. And never before, they say, have they seen them using something like kelp as a grooming tool. Now you know. That's your scientific story for the day.
You think that goes like Harry say, hey Harry, are you seeing this? And that's how they discovered it when they were watching.
Hey, do you know we're about to wrap up? I didn't realize we're about to wrap up the show.
We are.
Last weather.
70 today. I've changed to 70. I'm losing confidence that we're going to see any moisture. I think at this point, odds are favoring us being completely dry today in Portland. Tomorrow, 75 as a warm-up returns. 81 sunny Saturday. Could be 90 Sunday afternoon with sunny skies.
I heard that music playing. I didn't realize we were this close to the end of the show. Last traffic report is about the closure in Tigard. Starting here in just a few minutes at 9 o'clock, Southwest Durham Road will be closed on the west side of Upper Boonesferry Road. This is a closure that was supposed to start tomorrow. Again, it's happening today in 5 minutes, and that stretch of Durham Road will stay closed until 9 o'clock Monday night while crews work to replace a railroad crossing.
Hey, fun fact for you guys.
Okay, fun.
My mic's off.
Why do you sound weird? She didn't turn her mic back on. Anyways, what do you use this mic?
Tomorrow's Friday.
Fun fact,
Tomorrow
Friday,
is Friday.
tomorrow.
Actually, I forgot that, so that is very helpful to me. Thank you.
So tune in tomorrow, starting at 5 o'clock. Stay with us through 6 o'clock, and then, oh yeah, keep it right here on KGW. What is it called?
KGW.
KGW Plus is what I was trying to spit out, because that's where you can find us every weekday from 7 to 9. 2 bonus hours every weekday morning as we say thanks for watching us today, and we'll